here we go. Here's my testimony. About 5 years ago, Brad and I found ourselves in an overcrowded emergency room, laying on a gurney in the hallway because there weren't enough rooms for everybody. And we were just getting ready to release a CD. It was 2 days before our pre-release for a project that we've been working on for 4 years. It was a big deal. We'd interviewed pastors and written songs, and we were really excited about it. And we were sitting there in the emergency room, and honestly, I wasn't thinking it was a big deal. I had a couple symptoms. I didn't know what was going on. And so when the doctor came up and told me that I had cancer, it took me completely by surprise. It took the wind out of me. It pulled the rug out from underneath me, as you can imagine. And it filled me full of fear and anxiety. And I was just completely overwhelmed. And for a moment, what God was getting ready to do in our lives was overshadowed by that. But I had to make a conscious decision to step out of that. And even though I was going to continually face a battle with anxiety, with fear, with feeling overwhelmed, I was going to daily make a choice to step into a battle, fighting those things with the word, with prayer, and with worship. Reminding myself who God is and who he sees me as and what he has the power to do and accomplish in my life. And I would like to tell you it was an easy battle and that I won every day. Some days I didn't win, but I always came back to the fight. If it knocked me on my backside, I got up again and I started fighting. But the only tools, the only weapons I had to do that with was prayer, the word, and worship. Now, let me tell you about this cancer. It was liposarcoma, extremely rare. It was honestly a miracle that the radiologists in our hospital even found it and diagnosed it correctly. We live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I thank God for that man because he called it right and it saved my life. But the first report, the doctor came in and said that it was the size of a football wrapped around my kidney. Now, you might wonder how that happened. Well, I had had a baby about a year prior, and I was still holding on to some of what I thought was my baby weight, right? So I missed it growing. I lost some weight right after that, changing my diet, being more health conscious, and lost about 25 pounds, and I looked about 28 weeks pregnant. That's how big the tumor was in my abdomen. I think it weighed 15 pounds. No, it was 10 pounds. It was 15 inches top to bottom, and it weighed 10 pounds. But they said it was inoperable, and that was the first report. The doctor said it's inoperable and it's rare, and I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. But the next day, another doctor came in and said, there's one guy that can do this operation here in Arizona, and I want you to go see him. So we went and saw him, and he said he could do it, but then we heard a different word from MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. They said, no one should be doing this surgery except here or Sloan Kettering in New York. And I had an appointment to go. And so I went, and then we had a battle with our insurance company. The insurance company said, there's no way we're going to take you to MD Anderson. You have to stay in Arizona with this other guy. And MD Anderson was saying, we're your one shot. You don't have another shot with this guy. You'll lose it there. But they weren't going to pay for it. So we went to battle with them. We had 1 denial, 2 denials, 3 denials. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? And God intervened with the help of my mama and my husband. And a patient advocate called up and said, I see you have 3 denials. Tell me more about what's going on. Long story short, about 5 days later, the insurance company paid for every dime of my surgery in Houston and took care of all of the travel expenses. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to my mom and to Brad for steering us in the right direction to help that happen. But God really did intervene in that. And then the first report about the tumor said that it was aggressive. And about, 6 weeks later, we went in for an actual biopsy, and it said it wasn't aggressive. It was a slow-growing tumor, so it could come out in a surgery, and that was it. I didn't have to do any treatment, any chemo. So God did 3 miracles for me, pretty much right in a row, over the course of about 6 weeks. It was a long 6 weeks. But even after that point, I was still shaking in my boots. I had cancer, and I had 2 babies, and I wanted to survive this thing, and I just was terrified that I wasn't. And so, to be honest with you, we had a couple friends in the past year before that had lost their battle to cancer, and they didn't survive it. And so I thought, what makes me special? What makes me be able to survive this? So I had to really battle with that feeling and standing upon my faith that God is a healer, that he can heal, that he wants to heal, that he will heal, but that sometimes he chooses not to heal. So it was just like a constant circle for my faith. But I decided to ask for healing. And so every single day I put my hand on my belly. And I said, God, I don't want this in my body. I want it to be gone by a miracle. Cause this tumor to shrivel up and fall out of my body. It's a strange prayer, but it's the words that I spoke every single day. God, cause this tumor to shrivel up and fall out of my body. I don't even know what that would have looked like. I wanted a miracle that everyone could see. I wanted to be saved by my father of this nasty disease, and I wanted everybody to see it. I wanted the doctors to see the miracle before their very eyes, and that's what I was praying for. And he didn't do it. Not even a little bit. The tumor didn't shrivel up and didn't get any smaller. In fact, it got just a little bit bigger. It grew by a couple millimeters. And I was just like, okay, I trust you in this surgery. Do I trust you to the point of saying, be glorified in my death? I had to struggle with that. But God really revealed himself to me in a very special way. We went into the surgery. It was supposed to be 2.5 hours. It was supposed to be 8 hours. And 2.5 hours later, the surgeon came out and updated Brad and my family and said, she's done, she's fine. Once we got her opened up, asleep and on the table, the tumor practically fell out of her body. Now, I don't know if you caught that. I had been praying that God would cause the tumor to shrivel up and fall out of my body, and he didn't do it. He didn't follow my super awesome plan. But what he did do was reveal himself to my heart and to my mind is in what I consider to be an absolutely miraculous way. He spoke the very words of my prayer back through the words of the mouth of my surgeon. Through her words, he said to me, Rebekah, I love you, and I hear you, and I'm with you every step of the way. I heard every word you said. I felt every tear that you cried. But I am sovereign, and my will supersede your super awesome plan. And no matter what the end looks like, even though for my friends who didn't survive, he's still sovereign, and he is still good, and he is still loving. Even that day when the tumor fell out of my body, he's still sovereign, and he's still good, and he's still loving. And no matter what happens, it taught me a valuable lesson. No matter what happens, no matter how much I'm shaking in my boots, no matter how often every day I stand face to face with anxiety and fear, God is still sovereign, and he is still good, and he is still loving, and he's still standing by my side, fighting my battles for me. And I just want to encourage you, if you find yourself in that place today, overwhelmed with your situation, overwhelmed with your circumstance, your Father loves you. He is sovereign and able to do much more than we could ask or imagine. But his will supersede because he sees the full picture, right? And it's so hard for us to understand it here. But he'll open our eyes on the other side to understand it. But he gives us the gracious and loving message that he's standing by us and he hears us. And he made a way for us to enter into eternal paradise with him because of what Jesus Christ did on the cross for us. Amen. And if he never did another thing, that would be enough. He's faithful. He's faithful. I just want to encourage you, if you have testimonies to share, speak them out. Encourage people around you. We need to hear the stories of God's people, of God's faithfulness and how he moves in our lives and in our hearts. Amen. Will you do it? Yes. We're going to sing about God's faithfulness right now. We got to write some more songs after that whole season. By the way, it's been 5 years. I am cancer-free today. Thank you. We wrote Rejoice actually before this happened, before this cancer. And we didn't know that it was God's gift for our heart too. And that was another little miracle that he did for us, just reminding us that no matter where we found ourselves, to rejoice. And again, I say, rejoice. No matter what you face, bring everything to him. And he will give you a peace that passes all understanding. Lift up your mouth and rejoice in him. We got to write a couple more songs recently, and one of them is about God's faithfulness. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to sing a couple more songs, and let's just lift up his name together as his body. Amen. Amen.
Your promises have always held me when nothing on earth could. Your yes is yes, your heart is for me, so I confess that I will see your faithfulness. Here in my life, over and over again, I will see your faithfulness with my own eyes. No matter the height or the depth, I will see your faithfulness. 'cause I've seen your faithfulness. So I know I will see your faithfulness here in my life, over and over again. I will see your faithfulness with my own eyes, no matter the height or the depth. I will see your faithfulness. I will see your faithfulness. Yes, I will see your faithfulness. Yes. You're so good. No. And I will see your faithfulness here in my life and over again. And I will see your faithfulness, and with my own eyes, no matter